Okay, truth be told, we were supposed to start this episode with a special guest. And today we do not have that special guest. He is not present, nor does he ever want to do this. But one day we're going to force his little hand and make him do this because we've been talking about it for a long time. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You could probably guess, but I lied to everyone. So I'm so sorry for lying to you all. I said that it was going to be a special episode. Episode 11. Gosh, I did 10 by myself, and number 11 was going to be my first guest. But sometimes life throws you curveballs, as you know, and that's okay because now you got me, and I'm going to carry it. I'm going to carry this episode because it's a pretty good one. We have some good stuff to recap. Let me do the intro. I didn't even do the intro. What's up, everyone? Top of the morning to you all. It's not the morning, it's actually the evening, which is kind of weird. I'm going to get to it. It's kind of weird that I'm doing this at night because we were supposed to schedule it at night and it was going to be perfect. It was going to be perfect. I had so much planned. But it's okay. They canceled. And now that I'm not prepared, uh, we're all over the place. We're starting all over. Uh, anyways, okay. Welcome to the Born Ready podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Reddy. Anthony Bay Reddy. I never say Bay because Bay is actually not my middle name, in case you thought it was. It's actually a nickname that I was given. And the story goes, I was working at Facebook, and one day I left my computer open, and I didn't log off. I didn't put it to sleep or log out. And a friend of mine changed all my social accounts from Anthony J. Reddy to Anthony Bay Reddy. And I didn't hate it. I actually thought it was kind of fun, you know, because they would tease me a lot, that I remind them all the time that I'm from the Bay Area. And most of my coworkers were not. There was only maybe two or three, a handful of us that were. So anyways, Bay is not my middle name. Any guesses? Any guesses in the comments what my middle name is? It starts with a J. I'm named after my granddad on my dad's side. It's actually a cool name. I actually like it. But Anthony J. Reddy sounds nice. Rolls off the tongue pretty well. We are talking about nothing and going nowhere fast, but I promise you, I have things to talk about. We're going to start off with a recap. So I just celebrated my 41st birthday. Holy moly. 41. I didn't do anything spectacular. I usually celebrate my birthday all month long, and people know me for that. They always say it's not your birthday month, and I say it is because October is the best month of all time. You already heard that last episode, but this month has been very chill and then also very different because I was sick half the time, and I know it's going around. A few of you who I talk to regularly have the same type of cold or flu. It's not even a flu or a cold. It's like something. It comes in waves. You think you're better by day 2, then it hits you harder, and then you think you're ready to go by day 7, and it's like, no, I have a couple more days. So I was fighting off a bad cold. Stay safe out there, kiddos. Take that vitamin C. Ginger shots with turmeric, some cayenne pepper, lemon juice, water. Okay, put a little orange if you like. And I think that's what saved me. Honestly, I think that's what cured me. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. So sick half the time. Then I hurt my back at the gym, which I told you. And that is still a thing. I'm not fully recovered. Though I think when you start injuring the same place, I'll say place, it tends to heal a little faster than usual. Like even when I was picking up this really heavy plate from a really low rack and I bent all the way down and pulled up, obviously I didn't stabilize my core. And I know I'm supposed to, but yeah, it was just like a little tweak, just like a, sorry to hurt your ears, but a little da-da, and then put me out for 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks now. And then my filling in my molar fell out. So we're having such a wonderful 41st birthday, experiencing all the things. At least I didn't have any hemorrhoids. I've had a hemorrhoid on my birthday before. Guys, I don't know how old you are when you listen to this, and I looked at the age range. I actually looked at some demographics. Um, Spotify is a um, unique where I get to see some of the demographics, but then it also calculates all the other platforms. But female, uh, by like 60% over male, which is very interesting. And then as young as 17 or younger, I only have 2% that listen to me that young. And then I have even people up to over 65. They don't go higher than that. So plus 65. Um, a very wide range of people. Some people also are tuning in from Indonesia. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you guys are, but there's like a small percentage. I think you guys watch or listen on YouTube. Not sure who it is. And Russia, of course. So Putin, thanks so much for listening. I promise I'm not giving away any secrets. Maybe because I'm filming in Ireland. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, anyways, yeah, back to the hemorrhoids. When you get older, man, when it starts in your 30s, body starts to change a little bit. You have to stretch a little more, okay? I no longer even run every day. I walk, and it's saving my body. It changes, man. So 41 hits different. Got to stretch more. Got to take care of your body more. Got to sleep more. Um, and gosh, uh, back to my birthday. I didn't celebrate it the way I usually do, but I wanted it that way on purpose. I kind of like just keeping the routine. I was really happy that I woke up that day pain free from my back. I actually, um, gosh, I don't know, just by some miracle, I felt a lot better to go to the gym. So thankfully I did. But I also woke up to our Bay Area sport teams, our Warriors and Sharks, winning, and that was a really exciting game. Gosh, it's so much fun to watch or to wake up and watch the highlights. Now, obviously, the sports equinox is happening right now, so all five major sports are playing it at the same time. But it's too late for me, and sleep is so important. So I have to make sure that I get my beauty sleep. But when I wake up in the morning, I watch YouTube and watch the highlights, and it's so much fun. So yeah, the birthday morning started off really good with some coffee and some dubs, with dubs, and the Sharks winning. So, but I went to the gym, felt good. Got my hair cut, had a nice little fresh cut. I also got a massage, which I haven't got one in like months, which was really nice. And then I cooked dinner. I cooked homemade pasta. I didn't get the actual homemade pasta part, but I cooked the sauce from scratch. So good, you guys. Just I mean, simple ingredients. I won't even go into it. But if you want the recipe, let me know. I'll give it to you. So good. And then salmon, because my dad loves salmon, and I made him some roasted potatoes and veg, which is his favorite. But the salmon here, by the way, it just absolutely just smacks so hard. We're not going to say slaps because we will get in trouble by the pedestrians. Okay, we know that food smacks and music slaps. Don't get it twisted. Um, but it was a chill time, and we had a bunch of these little small little cakes that we get from our local dessert place, which is such like a gem. Um, Pavel, gosh, shout out to him. He makes these incredible desserts, guys. He works from 18 to 20 hours sometimes a day making these delicious desserts, and they're super fancy and super luscious and rich. And we went hard. We usually get like 3 or 4 for the week, and we usually eat it around this time with a cup of tea. And we got about 12 of them. Put some birthday candles in it, and made a whole thing, and got to try a bunch of different ones. And it's by far one of the like it's a treat. It's what it really is, man. It's a treat. He is the absolute best. He's located in Camolin and in Gorey in Wexford. In case you don't know, if you don't know what that is, it's a county. Wexford's a county south of Dublin, but it's in Ireland. And please check him out. And super affordable prices. Like if you were to pay if you pay for one cake back in LA or the Bay, you're not paying anything less than 10 bucks. In fact, I know a few, and sometimes we'll splurge and we'll get these cakes, and they're super fancy, especially the Korean ones. In gosh, Santa Monica. Oh gosh, they're so good, but they cost like 13 bucks and they sell out super fast. So you have to order them in the morning and then eat them later. It's a whole thing. Anyways, so to end the night, we just watched some movies. My dad and I been watching um, Only Murders in the Building, which is one of our favorite seasons. We're watching Tulsa King. We also have been watching. There's another show that we like to watch. We finished The House of Guinness. Good series. I would recommended it. Recommended it? Yeah, I would. It's a good series. It's not like spectacular, but it's pretty damn good. A lot of history too that you can learn about Guinness in Ireland. But yeah, anyways, I'm recapping a lot for a little day. It wasn't all that special. However, the next day, my cousin, shout out to Connor and Sarah. They will not listen to this, but if you do, what's up? They booked us a reservation for the Ghost Bus tour, which we've been dying, pun intended, to go for like over 20 years. We've always gonna say we're gonna do the Ghost Bus tour, and finally got to do it, and it was so much fun. It really was. It was a really great time to celebrate, kind of a birthday thing. Funny story. They did not know it was my birthday. I'll tell you a quick story about it. But the Ghost Bus tour. Dublin has a famous Ghost Bus tour that takes you all around these sites. You get on a double decker bus. On the very top, it's all blacked out. There's a couple lights, and then they have this host who's dressed up and does a fantastic job telling these great ghost stories. But also, it's a bit of crack where he's also throwing a lot of great jokes and then a lot of scares happen. I won't give it away, but it's so much fun. I've always loved scary, spooky stuff, especially like haunted houses, scary movies. So during this time, I'm watching all the scary movies, right? I went back and watched American Psycho. I watched the new VHS Halloween, which is like five scary movies in one. We've been watching, um, gosh, Your Host. It's also a new slasher. There was also something that we watched recently that's a good scary movie. Gosh, I can't remember. Anyways, when I say to you that we've watched a ton of movies, we've watched everything under the sun. That's our time with my dad, like from 7 p.m. and onwards. A cup of tea, a biscuit or a cake, and we're watching our shows and movies. And it's also honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of the day. That wind down and spending in time with my dad. It's nice to be able to um, have something on, but conversate and have a good conversation about it. And halfway, we'll be like, "You want a cup of tea?" Like, I'll make a cup, and then we'll do the whole thing. It's really special. It's what I grew up on. Um, Tea with your parents, tea with your family, kind of brings everyone together. It's probably where my love for coffee started, um, because it gives you a good feeling. It's very nostalgic. Anyways, back to the Ghostbusters tour. Yeah, they tell you these great ghost stories. You stop all these different sites around Dublin. One of them was the graveyard by Glasnevin, and there's a pub next to it. You can even go into the pub, grab yourself a drink, take a roadie for the road, and it was just so much fun. I had a lot of fun times. After that, we went to Temple Bar, which is an area in Dublin where there's a bunch of bars, but don't be fooled. There is a actual Temple Bar pub that's very famous. We went to that area, went to one of these pubs called Wild Duck, and you guys, this was one of the most fantastic pubs that decorated for Halloween. I mean, when I say decorated, I mean fully decorated. From the time you walk in to the music, they have all these different costumes, masks, scary faces, things hanging from the ceiling. Everyone's in character, and it was just a blast. And it was the first time in months that I actually had an adult beverage of my choice, and it was Guinness. And I had a few. I had a few too many. They surprised me. So funny story. Con and Sarah, my cousins, didn't know. And by the way, they're a couple. So I just say my cousins. They're included. You get it. They didn't know it was my birthday, but the couple that was with them, their friends, overheard me somehow say it was my birthday, and I'm like, it was my birthday yesterday. And one of them was like, I don't believe you. Let me see your ID. And I showed her. She's like, oh my god, I'm gonna tell them. They do a thing here, and I'm like, really? I go, it would be really funny to do it, and then they don't know, and they feel like it's a whole thing. Anyways, they brought out this lemon. I don't know. Oh, maybe it was because I had a lemon. They gave me a lemon drop shot. It has lemon and a sparkler, and they sang "Happy Birthday," which was really nice. And then Connor and Sarah are like, "Is it really your birthday?" And they're like, "It's his birthday. It was yesterday." And oh gosh, it was so funny to see their faces just be like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea it was your birthday. It was just like, why didn't you say anything? And it's like, when you're 41, what's the point? You know, you don't really tell anyone it's your birthday. But it was really fun. It was a good, great crack. And yeah, really happy I celebrated it. Woke up the next day pretty hungover, even just to have a few pints, you know, and that's getting older, you know. And then it takes so long to just get back into the routine. And this is like what, 2 or 3, 4 days since then. Um, and I'm still suffering with bad sleep, so I'm trying to catch up. Anyways, that's kind of the recap. That's so we're chapter 41, and I'm excited. I think I really wanted to do an episode for the birthday, and I really wanted to have my guests come on. But I also just wanted to have a day when you chill. I think the best part of celebrating your birthday with no responsibilities or people is that you get to do whatever you want. And sometimes doing that by yourself and just having a day to yourself is probably the best gift you could ask for. What was really nice. All right, let's change speeds. Let's talk about. I'm actually going to give you, because this is called the Born Ready podcast, so I'm going to give you a ready or not story. And it's one that I've told recently. The thing is, when you, and oh, well, let me start by saying this. I wrote myself a letter to my 20-year-old self. Did I say that right? I'm going to take a sip. I wrote a letter to 21-year-old Anthony on my birthday. I've been, by the way, I think I said this in the beginning. I'm going all over the place. Everything's moving so fast. I have so much to tell you. I think I said this earlier in the podcast where journaling is something that it like sucks. You know, it's like journaling sucks. It's hard. However, I've been showing up more by writing, and I'm talking about actual writing with a pen and paper. But this time I wrote a letter. I typed it out, and I was just thinking, like, if this letter could get back to me, um, back to 21-year-old Anthony, what would I say to that version of myself? And you guys, I didn't realize how much I had to say. I won't read it to you, but I'll give you the the cliff notes, the highlights. But I basically was saying things that, like, I didn't really know that I felt that way. I think where I was at in 21, I was seeking validation. I was and here's the key word, which I want to tell you, and then I'll tell you the ready uh, the ready or not story. The key thing here is attachment. I think my younger self was really attached to things and people, and I really invested myself into um, where I needed external validation to feel comfortable or feel what's the word? Feel like myself, like feel like I have an identity that I was proud of. And at 21, you don't really realize, like, you've been building up your identity, who you are, through school and experiences, and then when you get to that point, um, yeah, it's an interesting age, right, to be in. You're an adult now. You can drink. You know, you're considered a grown up, but in reality, at 21, you're still. I'm not going to say a kid, but you're still young. You know, I was still living with my parents. I was still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out life now. So you can imagine at 21, we've all been there, I'm sure. Uh, it's a unique age where you feel like you're grown, but you have a lot to learn. So one of the things I was writing about was, like, don't feel like you need to attach yourself to a relationship or attach yourself to a job or a certain occupation and to be this person. Don't be afraid to just go your own path and start doing things that feel good for you that might not feel good for everyone else. Um, don't worry so much about the criticism or what people think. They're probably not thinking about you anyways, um, which is true. And I told myself, you know, you don't need to perform or have to. You don't always have to give this effort, because the effort you're going to get back is probably not going to be the same. And that's a lesson I've had to learn a lot. And you guys, I was just so moved by my own words to tell this younger version of myself some, guidance and wisdom and advice. And it made me think, like, well, gosh, I'm 41 now. What would 61-year-old Anthony tell me? So then I wrote another version of that letter. Um, and I think that person is telling me to appreciate uh, these type of periods or cycles or moments where, gosh, living abroad is so different. And that's something I would recommend for everyone to try. Now I know that everyone doesn't have that liberty of or opportunity to just leave and go live in a different country. People have responsibilities. People play roles. People are parents. Have jobs, and I understand that, and that's something that you've earned and built, and you would never give up. However, experiencing living abroad is just it gives you this perspective on what's really valuable and what's really meaningful. And I think being here, it has fulfilled me in a way where I would never be able to if I was living back at home. So I was saying this to both versions of myself about and about like how grateful I am to be in this moment. And that's what the old version was like. I know you feel like you're in a transition and that you are living abroad and you're trying to find this new version of yourself and you're starting from scratch and you're pivoting and you're surrendering. I just went through a whole bunch of things this year alone, and he told me just to appreciate it. Don't attach yourself to so much. And that's so funny because that was the same thing that I was telling my younger version. And so attachment really came to play where I think we are involved so much that it consumes us and we need it to feel comfortable or feel fulfilled. And when that's taking away and you're in a different place and you're trying to navigate that, I think it brings out this other version of you, which I think that's what was the whole point. And so the older version told me just appreciate this time because right now it's my dad and I. I've been living a very normal routine, and I would even say simple. I pretty much know what my day looks like every day, and I don't have a big responsibility for anyone else to be there for or have to be give away my time. I really just have myself, which is really really nice. Honestly, it makes me think that if I ever if I ever like it's a big thing. If I decide to be with someone, you know, that person has to be really worth it. Not to say that the people that I've been with before wasn't worth it. They were. It's just that when I'm living this way, it makes me appreciate how happy I am to be with myself for myself. And it's really nice. I don't know. I get to have my own time. I get to wake up and do whatever I want. I get to work on my passion, my craft, and not a lot of people get to do that. So I am appreciating this time, and being with my dad, especially with my dad, like and having this moment where him and I get to just like hang out, and it's not always fun or even sometimes we clash. But there's an appreciation there, and I think I'm really gonna miss it. This next chapter when I go back. Um, and I'll be back very soon. It's happening very soon, and I know it. I know I'm gonna miss it. I know I'm gonna miss this part where I'm like, gosh, I miss the days where I can wake up and be like, should I start writing? Should I go for a run? Should I start with coffee? Should I watch YouTube? Should I start my podcast? I could do whatever at any time, at any moment for myself, and not have to worry about anyone else. And I don't know if that resonates with you, but doesn't that sound so nice when the only person you really have to show up for and live for is yourself? And I think that's really helped me truly, really, truly find love for myself for the first time. Like, I think, well, not the first time, but in a way where it's like really hitting me like, man, I really love the person I am. I really love this version. With that said, and I say all that to say this, I love who I am. I really do. I really love all the things that I've been through. I love the fact that I've continued to keep growing and going, showing up even though I'm not ready, showing up whether I'm qualified or not, doing things outside of my wheelhouse, and because I'm always curious about it. And I really love this version that I invest a lot of time to myself, which I haven't got to do that in a while. So really happy. Really happy that I took some time to write because I just found a new I don't know, a new lens the way I looked at myself. You should try that. You should try to writing a letter to your younger self and your older self, and you should see what comes to mind. It might be hard at first, but I think with practice, you can figure out um, how you look at yourself, what kind of version, you know. And you can't lie. You can't BS it. You have to be really honest, and you should see what comes out. You might be surprised. I was. Okay, back to the born ready or not story. What were you born ready for? Were you ready or not? In this story, I was ready. I was prepared, but it didn't happen the way I thought it would, and that's okay. And it's something that I think everyone can relate to. And it's a really fun story. And the reason why I think I brought this up is because I keep going back to this topic, to the story, because it taught me so much. It taught me so much. And there are certain stories that I will share that really mean something to the core, like the core of who I am. And maybe you can relate to it too. I think you can. This story is about my driver's test. Everyone had to learn to drive at some point, though my mom never did. Fun fact. It is a funny fact because I was like, I even asked her, why didn't you drive? She's like, I just don't want to. I honestly think that she tried. My dad was teaching her, and the fact that they struggled to get on the same page to, like, find a way to be coached. My mom didn't like the way my dad coached her, and that sometimes happens. It's just funny though because my mom and my other auntie never drove, um, and I have a friend who doesn't drive and just takes Uber everywhere, and I just think it's so fascinating. But anyways, I've been driving before getting my license, and I would actually take my dad's car without asking at times. I think the very first time I ever drove a car was sitting on my brother's lap at a very young age, maybe 6 or 7, and then me steering, and then him obviously doing the pedals. But he coached me on some really good pointers about like how to hold the steering wheel steady, where to hold it, how to turn. And then also through video games, Gran Turismo, I used to play back in the day, and Speed Racer. There's so many. Um, you get the hang of things. Anyways, so I think I was 13, 14, middle school, and there was times where my dad would give my brother the car, and my brother would be like, "Hey, dude, I'm too high. Sorry, Pete. I'd be too high, and you got to take the car. If you really want to go, just take it. I trust you." And that's a scary moment, right? Taking your dad's car. It's the family car. It's the car, you know. Um, and then having a decision like, am I going to make it across town without getting pulled over or crashing? Here's the thing: I knew I was a good driver already. I just knew inherently I was like, I'm going to be good at this. Um, and I do remember the first time getting in the car, and I think I drove around the block, and then thinking like, hey man, I'm not ready to do this. I just, it's too much pressure. Like if something does happen, even at a young age, at 13, 14, I believe I was like 13. The thing is, I started high school my freshman year when I was 13. So I think I was in high school already. Um, but I was telling my brother, I'm like, I'm not ready to do this. He's like, that's fine. He's like, what did it feel like? And I'm like, it felt like freedom. It felt so much fun, you know? And then after I got very comfortable driving. Now, at times he would be in the car. I would drive to the store, Taco Bell. We used to do a late night run, especially when he was high, um, and bring my friends, whatever. And then I think when I start getting my permit, I start feeling more comfortable taking the car without telling anyone. So I've done that a bunch of times. Okay, so on my birthday, I think actually I lied. It wasn't my birthday. I did turn 16, and I was a junior, and I was supposed, and then I had my driver's test the following Tuesday. I think my birthday was like a Thursday or Friday. The following week was my test. And I basically, now my brother did have a car, but I think he also shared it with his girlfriend, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, and then my dad had a car, and that was a family car, which would, my brother sometimes would use it. My dad, um, and I think my sister was already driving. Anyways, I had siblings. Everyone was using the car. So I told my dad it's my birthday, week, whatever. I need the car for my appointment. And then I remember you needed to bring someone with you, right? Obviously, to accompany you driving. You can't be driving by yourself. Um, and shout out to Mrs. Corrado, Maritza Corrado, my ex girlfriend's mom. She came with me. But the story goes that morning when I woke up for my driver's test, the cars were gone. My dad forgot about the driver's test, and so I was so upset. Okay, first of all, not having a car and just having a test, I was just like, at 16, it's like it's the end of the world, right? So I think I called my aunt, and she's like, I have a car that you can use because she was already retired, and so I think I remembered having to go walk to her house really early in the morning to grab the car. Now, you guys, here's where the story gets interesting for me. The brakes were god awful. I mean, let me explain. First of all, sometimes if you press the brakes very gently, like very softly, okay, it will stop. And then sometimes when you try to press it softly, it doesn't do anything. You press harder and harder and harder, and then at the very end, before it hits the floor, it would stop. And it was like a clown car, and I was so upset. I was literally in tears. I remember in tears being like, "I'm gonna fucking fail this test." Excuse my French. I'm gonna fail this test. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pass. So I build up all this anxiety of just like, I'm already gonna fail. Even though I know I'm a good driver, but it's like, how am I gonna drive this clown car? And I remember my ex-girlfriend's mom, Mrs. Corrado, she was just such a great coach. And I remember she was talking to me and coaching me on the way through. She's like, just have confidence. I don't know, something about her energy just made me feel so like I can do this, having that support. Um, when we got there, I took the test. I'm driving, and I remember right when I got out of the driveway, I barely touched it, barely touched the brake with my foot, and it like jerked, and I was like, oh, and I was like, you guys, a rush of just my my blood was boiling. Okay, I really wanted to be like, hey, this fucking sucks, right? We're done here. I fucking failed. Like, I'm out. In my mind. And I'm having his own conversation. It's funny. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I don't remember the test. All I can remember was I'm gonna fail this test, and I can't drive this clown car. And to my surprise, I actually did very well in the test. I think I only missed two or three, and the only thing I really missed was that he says I didn't look at the mirrors enough, which is bullshit because I looked right every time you go for a stoplight, did the whole thing. But you guys, I was relieved and thrilled, and I couldn't believe that I passed. And you're probably like, okay, whatever. Like, what kind of story did you learn? It really just taught me that I take things to heart and so serious that honestly, if I failed, it would be no big deal to take the test again. But to me, it's like if I would have failed, I think I would have looked at that moment so much where I was like a failure. Okay. All right. So that was my born ready moment where I showed up ready, unprepared to drive this clown car and still prevailed. I'm gonna tell you this other small little funny story. So I'm fucking thrilled. I walk inside to the DMV, give them my slip, and they tell you have to do an eye test. And so I just had this like traumatic experience, in my mind, and I'm like, okay, fine, okay, sure, whatever. So I'm looking at it. So she's like, okay, she's like, what's the first line, whatever, whatever. Okay, she's like, close your left, and so I close my left eye. She's like, read, okay, got it. Other eye, okay. And then she said both eyes, and I went, oh, both eyes. She goes, yeah, both eyes. She's not even looking at me. She's just like, both eyes, and I went, but I can't see it. And you guys, she fucking died laughing so hard. I felt like an idiot. I embarrassed myself by covering both eyes, and I was so confused because she said, "Now both eyes," and so I covered both eyes. You guys, she laughed so hard for like minutes, telling everyone what just happened, and it made her day. And I'm still embarrassed that I did that, but honestly, looking back now, of course. I wasn't even there. It was like I'm having an out of body experience. It was like so much that happened that morning just to get my license. And you guys, I was just so relieved. And I don't know what it is about the DMV. When I go there, I just feel nervous. And I think part of it, even if I'm not doing a test, comes from that moment of being like unprepared driving this clown car. And then also covering my both eyes trying to read the vision test. Um, It was fun. That was a fun day. Uh, yeah. Thank God I don't have to do another test. I think gosh, I'm actually dreading taking the written test. I don't think that would be fun at all. Um, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention before we close this out. I don't know how we're doing on time. This sucks. I keep my watch open, just make sure that I'm in frame, that where it sounds on, and then it's a whole thing. So, can I remember? Well, some good news. My buddy's coming to visit me tomorrow. He is my bestie. I won't say who it is because I'm gonna try to get him to be a guest on the show. Um, and it didn't hit me until today that he's coming tomorrow. And you guys, I have been pretty much isolated, other than my dad and a few friends at the gym, but really isolated. So I'm really looking forward to him coming. Um, I'm really looking forward for him to come visit. Is what I meant. Get your head out the gutter, okay? And we have some fun things planned. We're gonna do everything and anything, but that it's not gonna break the bank. And I mean, there's so much to do here in Ireland. What I like about here in Ireland specifically is that everything is super affordable. I can get a week's worth of groceries for under $25. Like it's insane. And I'm talking about like salmon, steak, chicken, all the veg. You can get desserts, you get ice cream, make your coffee. I drink Nespresso and I do pour over beans. Well, beans for the pour over. And then I just feel like it goes a long way. Not only that, the amount of food you get and the quality is insane. It should be illegal. I can't believe what we pay back at home. Anyways, we have so much to look forward to, and I'm really excited for him to visit. And we might do a surprise trip somewhere, which I've been thinking about. So it'll be really interesting. And I really hope that he decides to be a guest on here. I think he would be a lot of fun. I think he has a lot of great stories. Him and I actually have some amazing stories that we would love to share. Um, I'm kind of blanking on the thing that I was actually going to say, and that's okay. Is there anything else that I would like to say to you before I conclude this? Is there anything top of mind? You guys probably want to know who the guest was for today, huh? It was going to be my dad, Papa Reddy, but I even gave him a haircut. I guess we could talk about it. Um, he's going to do it eventually. I think recently he's just kind of like my buddy is coming to visit and he's getting the house ready, and him and I have been cleaning, getting everything. You want to make it special, obviously, and then trying to fit in an episode before he comes. I think my dad's just unprepared. Here's the thing: he didn't want to do it today because he's like, oh, I didn't get my haircut, and I was like, I'll give you a haircut. So I gave him a haircut right before, and he looks fresh, right? And then I told him like what to wear, and then I seriously just told him that this is not a big deal. There's only a few people who listen, and half of them, I'm sure, is gonna be family. There's no one. There's like Obama is not gonna like watch it. Maybe Putin in Russia, but like it's not a big deal. And he was like, I don't know, I'm just so nervous and shy. I might say the wrong thing. And I was like, I literally do that every single episode. I literally have to talk and riff and on the fly think of things to say and say things, and it's not easy. And so, long story short, he was so nervous. He didn't want to do it. Then I asked, "Will you do it without, being filmed and we can just do the microphones?" And he's like, "No, not today." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." That's why we were going to do it at nighttime and then maybe have a cup of tea, have a good conversation, ask him a little bit about his, life journey, some experiences. And he has some amazing stories that I can't wait for you to hear, because not only are there great stories, but they're so unique that I don't know anyone else that has these type of experiences or things that he has done, um, which will be a lot of fun. So bummer, you just have me, and now I don't even have a closing topic, which I really wish I remembered what I wanted to say. It doesn't matter. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for your support. Thanks so much for like just being you, and letting me do this. It's been really fun. If there's anything that you actually, so let me ask you this: if there's anything that you want me to ask my dad, like a specific question, or if you're curious about something about him or us or anything, please, he would absolutely love that, because then I can get him to actually come on here and be like, look, people have questions for you, and you need to give him advice. So If you have any questions for him or me, or I should ask him, maybe I'll post it on Instagram or whatever people get their information these days, and do a poll, ask questions. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. I don't know how long it was. I think it was a good one. 11. We're done. We're completed. Have a great October. Stay safe. Go trick or treating. And ready or not. Thanks, everyone.